Welcome back to Zoom into Wellness. As you know, this series focuses on building community, helping us find ways to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit during these challenging times. We've had an unprecedented year, and I think that we're really starting to look towards hope and looking forward to taking back our communities, our health, and really moving forward in a positive direction. As part of this event, we're happy today to have Dr. Tina Mason with us. She's faculty at Touro University California and a specialist in women's health, an obstetrician and gynecologist. Dr. Mason, we're so glad that you're with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shoebrook. I am happy to be here.
Well, so just to make sure everybody knows, can you tell me a little bit about what an obstetrician and gynecologist does?
So I am a physician, and I take care of women from birth to actually death. And so what you all are probably wondering, what does that mean? Well, I deal with all of those female organs, uterus, ovaries, vaginal vault, breast, all of that stuff. But I also am very focused on the overall woman's health. And so I've taken care of a lot of children, little girls who are having problems, and I will help you all the way up through to your 90s if you're postmenopausal or you're having hot flashes and your bones are getting soft and all of that. So it's more so than anything is keeping women healthy, letting us get back into our best health that we can possibly do, and education. What I find the majority of the time, well, let me just back up. No human really wants to be sick. There are a few of us who have some issues, but most people want to be healthy, and they're trying to be healthy and trying to do the best that they can, living where they are, doing what they're doing for a living, and they've got family members and all of that. What I try to do is try to work with women and work with our families so that we can get to that best health that we can be. And what that means for me is not some weird standard where I'm supposed to be 100 pounds and, blonde or whatever. No, I'm talking about your best health. I don't care what weight you are. I don't care how short you are, tall you are, or whatever. If you've got a normal blood pressure, if your blood sugar is good, if you can walk up and down the stairs without being out of breath, and if you can mingle with others, you're healthy. And that's what I do with women. So one of the things that Dr. Shoebrook and I have spoken with multiple times is that women make 87% of the healthcare decisions for the family. What does that mean? That means if I got mama healthy, and we all know this, when I say I got to lose some weight or I don't want to eat as much salt, I go about, and if I'm cooking for myself and everybody else eats the same thing that I also eat. And so what I tell us as women, because I've had to learn this myself, when I take care of myself, I want to be that best health that I can be. My family benefits also. I have women often who will tell me, oh, my kids only eat junk. And even if I try to eat healthy, they won't. And I kind of break it down where it's very real. I said, how old are your kids? 7 and 9? So they get in their car, they drive to work, they pick up their check, they cash their check, they go to the store and buy the junk. And when you break it down like that, you then realize you have control. So if I want my children to be healthier, I have to say, I'm not going to buy this junk. One of the things that I did, I had I have a granddaughter who was a little bit chunky, and we were concerned. And she loved to eat sweets. So what we then worked on is that she wants cookies, she had to make them. And it was interesting. You realize when she realized the amount of effort to make a batch of chocolate chip cookies, where she would want to have them every night, she started realizing this is a big hassle. She knocked it down. She made them once a month, and she would make certain you only had 2 cookies to, like yesterday, you couldn't eat them all. It was really fascinating when she realized it was under her control, her health became better. She started reading sugar labels and all of that stuff there. And she's healthy. She's very healthy. And that's what we want folks to actually focus on is health. And you can control even small points. You can actually control your own health.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I love your holistic approach because it really, all parts of the body really are connected. So, you've talked a little bit about obesity and being overweight. You talked about some metabolic things. How would those conditions present as a complaint to a woman specialist?
So I'm happy that you asked. I have a lot of women that will come in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and they have diabetes that they're not managing well. They will come in with that chronic vaginal discharge or pelvic pain. It hurts when I have sex, or it's always, I'm seeing as if I'm always having some kind of a infection. My periods aren't regular. And I can start telling them, even before they tell me about their other problems, I'll ask them, how long have you been a type 2 diabetic? Some of us will get actually angry. I'm not here for that. When I tell us, and because I don't like to say them, I say us. When I talk to us to say that your body is connected. When your blood sugar is high, it's going to spill out in your urine. As it spills out, and that extra sugar spills out in your urine, it makes that yeast grow over it. It overgrows in the vaginal vault. So in the vaginal vault, we normally have yeast there anyway, but it's a nice balance with yeast and other things too. But when it's an overgrowth, then you get this very thick, white, painful, itchy problem. And also our periods get really crazy too. So I can tell them, and I actually tell us, everything is really connected. It's kind of funny. Dr. Shubrook and I will have these long, talks where I can imagine people probably when they're around us, they're kind of looking like their eyes glaze over, because we can talk about this for hours. But when I'm saying, when you're having problems trying to get pregnant because you're not ovulating well, because the hormones are a little bit off. Why are the hormones a little bit off? Because of the other things that's going on. If you have metabolic syndrome, if you've got it where your liver isn't functioning as well, the body works as one unit. And the body will say, I'm not going to ovulate because I'm not at my ultimate health. So I want to be very aware that when we get as healthy as we can be, and I'm talking about small steps. I'm not talking about you doing something crazy. Small steps, and just saying, I'm going to eat a little bit better. I'm going to walk more. I'm going to think more positive thoughts. I'm going to learn something new. My life will improve.
Yeah. And I'd like to hear about those steps in just a minute, but I'd like to make sure I summarize, because I think you said some really important things. So if you're a woman and you have an abnormal vaginal discharge, or if you have itching, or if your periods have become irregular, or you're having problems getting pregnant, or maybe you've had a change in your hair distribution, or you're having trouble losing weight, please seek medical care for that. And I think it's what I'm hearing is that, we want you to seek the care that you have access to and the care that you trust. And so if your obstetrician is the next person you're seeing, or your women's specialist, please tell them about that, because they can evaluate that for you. And it's not always things like diabetes. Sometimes it's other things, but most things are treatable, and they're not things we'd want you to continue to have. Was that fair to say?
I agree. And you want them to be managed early. You want to work with your healthcare provider. You all are partners. This is your body that we're working with you. And most things that we find, as I tell folks, most illnesses starts off as a variation of normal. And then you kind of walk in there and you go, oh, okay, well, let me do this or let me do that. And so, but be honest with them and share. Now, let's also kind of back it up. If you're working with somebody that you don't trust or you don't feel comfortable with, find someone else. Yeah. It doesn't have to be it can be a nurse practitioner, it can be a physician assistant, it can be an actual physician, but find someone that you're comfortable with, someone that you think has your best interests at heart, and someone that you can ask questions to. But let me also say, I want us to walk into anybody's office with power. I want you to read. Now, look, do not come in and bring me 45 pages of something that you found on, Dr. Google. I don't want to read that. But come in and let's you and I have an honest conversation about This is the normal changes that happens with somebody who's 45. This is this. I have a lot of folks coming in saying, I don't want to get old. I'm like, but the only thing we all are, I mean, every day, let's be realistic and we want to work with you. And I think that when you say, I'm coming in to my healthcare provider, you and I are partners, tell me what I can do, give me a little bit of power, and everything will work out well. I promise. If you have to be on meds, okay. It doesn't matter. We want you to be as healthy as you can possibly be. And I'm real honest with every female that I see. I am not God. There are no miracles here. I can't guess what's going on. And when I say that we're working together as a team, it kind of shifts things. And then people will then say, okay, I need to do this. And you have to work with your family too. And what I find, and I keep pushing on this, is that women help their entire family get healthier.
Absolutely.
They help their entire health. I was one of my, in my past lives, I was one of the associate commissioners of health for New York City. I was living in New York from 96 to 2006. And it was interesting. One of the offices of health that I oversaw was men's health. And I remember talking with a lot of my male, colleagues, and I would ask them, I said, how can I get men healthier? They said their wives and their mothers and their girlfriends have to do it. It's unfair, but it's true. We know that a married man lives longer than a man that's single, especially a married man with a healthy wife, because the wife is going to push him to go in and get things checked and all of that stuff there. And so the same thing. I know sometimes it's a lot of pressure on us, but it's also a lot of power. And so once again, when mama's healthy, the entire family is healthy.
Yeah, and so make sure when you're coming in and you're speaking with your healthcare team, we want to know who makes the meals, who's doing the shopping, because whoever's doing that really can influence the health of the entire family. And as you said, 87% of the time it's mama, but whoever it is, we want to make sure that we empower them to take care of the family.
Exactly.
Well, I love some of the things that you do with your patients in terms of really realistic steps that they can take to be healthy. So what would be some things you'd like to share pretend we're all your patient in your office right now? What are some things you would say we could do to take back our health?
So here's one of the things that, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack about this. Do not diet. Don't diet. Cannot stand all these diets. We as women, we rush off to whatever fad diet, and we may lose 5 or 10 pounds and we gain back 20 or 30. What I want us to do is modify what you put into your mouth. Weight loss and health is literally 80% what you put into your mouth and 20% exercise. I don't care how much exercise I do. If I go out and eat, double mac and cheese every day, is going to blow it all. It's going to send up my blood pressure. My sugar is going to go up, sodium and all of that stuff there. So don't diet. What I want you to do is look at the food that you like to eat and modify that. My folks are from the South. We've got this Southern soul food kind of, and I love macaroni and cheese. I love all of that stuff, but I realize, can I have a whole bowl? I can have half a cup. And I want the real stuff. I don't want the low fat cheese. I don't want the fake stuff, because it doesn't give you that.
Doesn't taste as good.
It doesn't taste as good, and it isn't satisfying. And you literally have to train your body to eat less, but you can. You can eat similar things, but just eat less of it. And when you do that, your family's going to eat less of it too. Have more fresh fruits and veggies around. When I snack, we all got the, munchies and I'll have some fruits and some nuts or whatever. Every now and then I have some pretzels, but I don't have chips in the house because I love potato chips. I love the crunch. I love it. But if I do that, if I have it in the house, I know I'm going to eat it. So I'm just open. So I tell folks, get it out of your home. If it's not there, you won't eat it. I tell folks to move, walk if you can. Don't go join a gym. Do not, Planet Fitness, whatever. People go, I didn't have no. What I want you to do is just do things that's sensible that you can do with your family. Get out for a 5-minute walk around the block. Even if you're in a rough area, you can still get up and walk around the parking lot. When you go to work, park, if you're driving, park the farthest away and then walk. If your office is on the 3rd floor, you work on the 3rd floor, walk up the stairs. You can incorporate exercise into everything. I think so often we see all these buffed people and they're great. I exercise an hour a day, and you go, I barely roll out of bed on time to make it to work. What can I do? There are things that I can do that I can break up exercise into 5 to 6 minute things per day. You can do it. So move, believe that you can.
And take your kids with you, right?
Take your kids with you.
One of the things, healthier too.
Oh, can I tell everybody a quick story? When I was in New York, I was caring for this woman, very nice. She's about 46 years old. Her A1C was starting to really sneak up there, 661 or whatever. She had a 16-year-old daughter that she was worried about, had 2 sons, and her husband was disabled from a injury because he was a farm worker. Anyway, we were just simply talking, and so you hear I'm being my average self. I'll go out and exercise and whatever. And she said, "You know where I live, Dr. Mason?" And I said, "Where?" And so it was interesting. She was my last patient before lunch. And she said, "Do you see what's around here? We have no fresh foods." And it's interesting. We know Vallejo is a food desert. And you're right. You're kind of driving around. You go, there's not a lot. I mean, I can drive way down there to Walmart and whatever, but it's not where it's easy. So it's really interesting. Yeah, it really isn't. So what's really very interesting about her, she and I talked about it. I said, "Do you have a church? What do you do?" And whatever. She started, so she was a medical assistant. She worked 12 hours a day. So she says, "I'm going to get up and walk every day." So what she started walking. But she was in kind of a rough, neighborhood. And let me be honest with everybody. When I say rough, it's not because of you. We know redlining, concentrated poverty, you can't move out and whatever, terrible schools, the kids wind up dropping out and whatever. However, there are still some personal choices that we can each make. What she did is she said, so she got off work every day at 6 o'clock. And so she started making her 16-year-old daughter prepare dinner. She says, when I came, she said, "Why is it that I have to come home and do everything?" We were actually talking about all of that stuff. So she started walking. What she did is she had a big piece of a wood stick, and she hammered nails into her stick. I'm like, what the hell? She said, "I'm swinging it." And then she had a big night watchman's flashlight, and she used those as weights, and she was walking. And she got out and walked every day for 15 minutes afterward. Other women started seeing her, and she formed a women's walking group in her neighborhood. Other people started saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" It was interesting. As they're walking around, a group of 4, 5, 6 women, they're walking past the grocery store, the liquor store, the laundromat, and they saw kids. And they would go things like, "Ronald, what are you doing out front? You're supposed to be at home." So it's really interesting. Simple group of women trying to take back their own health. They cleaned up their own neighborhood because then they were then realizing these guys were hanging around going, "Oh man, so-and-so's mother's coming by." And it was really interesting. So then what she kept on doing is that she was working with her church. And so what her pastor did was they started doing this carpooling where they all would go in, to the big supermarkets and whatever, and they were shopping twice a month. He put the church van where they were all doing that, to the point where it got put in the papers and farmers market. Then what they had in the parking lot of the church, every other Saturday they had a farmers market. But these are things that women did to take back their own health. And it was written up in the paper and all of that stuff there. She was really nice. She mentioned me a little bit, but that's okay. But the point is that she said, I was challenged to take back my own health, and we did it. And it was really rather cool. So her daughter now has, she's making her, when she comes home from school, she has to come in and help with the meals. Her 2 sons now have to clean up their own rooms. They're also doing laundry. Her husband was trying to do something. He had some really bad back problem, but he was really supervising what was happening there too. So I'm just saying that This is with people and a person who said, I can't do anything. So here's the funny part of it. I see her the year later. I remember I read about this in the paper. I see her the year later, and I did not recognize her. She had lost about 30 pounds, and just the stature, and she was sitting up there, and her A1C was like 5.8, and everything was good. And I hugged her. It was so good to see her. I said, I read about you, and you've done this stuff. And she thanked us, and she said, it didn't cost us a dime. She said, I spoke up, and and they were in, if you all know about New York, they're in Bed-Stuy, which was, it's very trendy, but then it wasn't. But phenomenal things. Wow. And we can do the same thing here where we are here in Vallejo and Fairfield and all of that. You can do the same thing.
Wow. So what I've heard today is, first of all, women, you can take back your health.
Yes.
2, when you take back your health, you're making your family better, and sometimes you're making your community better. So you are agents of change.
Yes.
And I've also heard you say that there are some symptoms that you shouldn't just put to rest. You should seek care and find someone you trust, and make sure you get those things taken care of.
Yes.
And I think that that's such an inspirational message and so important for us to share with our community members. So Dr. Mason, if someone wanted to see you, where do you practice medicine?
I am at the Solano Family Health Center, and I am at the site in Vallejo, 365 Tuolumne. I'm there Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Wow. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today for Zoom into Wellness.
Thank you.
For everyone, thank you. We will also post a link to Dr. Mason's 5 tips to take back your health as an additional link after this interview. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.